In 1968, Justice Stewart, writing for a majority of the U.S. Supreme Court, stated in Jones versus Alfred H. Mayer, "If Congress were powerless to assure that $1 in the hands of a black man will purchase the same thing as $1 in the hands of a white man, then the 13th Amendment banning slavery made a promise the nation cannot keep." Today, that promise remains unfulfilled for many Americans because of the color of their skin, their race, religion, or mental or physical disability.
Cleveland is the second most racially segregated community in the United States, and that wasn't done by happenstance. That was done through governmental types of programs like the FHA. It was also done by prejudice. We had real estate appraisal books in 1965 that ranked by order what was a favorable racial classification. For example, if you were Sicilian, you ranked 8th on the list. If you were from northern Italy, you were 3rd on the list.
People are tribal, and Cleveland is a very ethnic community. And as a result of that, we have maybe too many pockets. And I think it's a more beautiful community once they're mixed together.
In spite of decades of laws aimed at equal opportunity, equal lending, and fair housing, housing injustice prevails. In an environment such as this, where neither justice nor the law is self-executing, the presence of organizations committed to the eradication of housing injustice is crucial. The Housing Advocates is one such organization. The Housing Advocates was organized in June 1975. Its mission was to safeguard tenant rights and affordable housing for Clevelanders who were being underserved by the justice system.
3 crazy attorneys founded the Housing Advocates: Avery Friedman, Dave Honan, and myself. We all knew each other because we were involved with Lawyers for Housing, a public interest firm created by the Cleveland Bar Association. It was going out of business, and the dream of having that kind of organization that would have the mission of making truly affordable housing that's safe and decent and available to anyone regardless of their race or their color, their creed, their disability. That was the purpose of Housing Advocates.
The activities and projects of HAI combine traditional lawyering activities with research, organizing, and public education. Some projects, such as the Housing Law Clinic and the Fair Housing Legal Support Center, incorporate clinical teaching programs for lawyers and law students. Others, such as the Technical Assistance Program and the Federal Funds Monitoring Project, seek to enforce compliance with federal housing laws. And others address the specific legal need of particular clients, such as the Mobile Manufactured Home Advocacy Project and the Hispanic Law Project.
The Housing Advocates is a unique organization in the Cleveland area because, although there are a number of other fair housing organizations, they turn to us for legal help. We are a group of attorneys. If you have a complaint and you've gotten a test result that shows that there was discrimination happening, we are going to represent you in court. But we also try and have a more community-based approach. I often go out and speak to senior homes, at community centers. These are places where we try and participate in the community, and through doing that, educate people on discrimination. There are reasons that are specifically prohibited from being considered by a prospective landlord, and that's what we're trying to get out.
We do law reform litigation. We look at, is this a case that's going to set some precedent, like our lead paint litigation. We look at how many people will be affected by this. We're dedicated really to trying to help people who are financially strapped, who are powerless, who do need the assistance of an attorney.
Among the fair housing issues litigated by the housing advocates, discrimination against sex, religion, and race are the most familiar, and often take on violent forms. In the case of Grace and Eddie Bird, the housing advocates represented the Birds after a white juvenile gang firebombed their Oakwood Village home.
I used to ride out in this area during the summer months, and it looked pretty peaceful. So we decided to buy a piece of property out here. We had to clear out the site for the house, plus we built the house from the ground up. Well, we was here about 6, 7 years. Everything was pretty peaceful, you know, up until we had some other neighbors move in down the street, and I guess they didn't decide that we wasn't supposed to be here, I guess. It was about 10, 11 at night when the firebombing incident happened. My grandkids, they was getting ready to go to bed. And I think I was the last one downstairs. And when I did go upstairs, I heard a sound of some, you know, ruckus on the porch. And so I ran to the door and I saw this bottle stand laying there with a wick and some kind of fluid was in it, and it had been lit. But I guess through the impact of the throwing, it went out. The police did happen to catch one guy out on Broadway, but none of the local officials were doing anything, don't seem like, in my behalf.
We obtained summary judgment on behalf of the Bird family and then had a trial on damages in federal court before Judge O'Malley, where we were able to successfully obtain damages on behalf of the Bird family. One of the things that the Birds said at their trial really stuck with me, and that was, I can't believe in 1996 this is still going on.
The Housing Advocate is a worthwhile organization. I really, you know, they really put a lot of time and effort into my case, I know that.
The Housing Advocates has also implemented projects to reflect the concerns of targeted ethnic and economic groups. The Hispanic Housing Law Project addresses the specific difficulties experienced by the Hispanic community in obtaining fair housing. This includes landlord-tenant issues, mortgage insurance redlining practices, and families with children issues.
One important community that we have really worked hard to reach out to is the Hispanic community of Cleveland. I am one of the few bilingual attorneys in the Cleveland area who speak Spanish. So first of all, to just have an attorney who speaks Spanish is an important bridge to Hispanic clients where English is not their first language, because it's very different to explain something through a translator. A lot gets lost in the translation, as they say. Also, people from Housing Advocates have tried to establish a presence in the community through organizations that are already in place.
A major concern within the Hispanic community is the tremendous problem with lead paint. In the case of Tamara Gaetti, the Housing Advocates defended Ms. Gaetti against a landlord who tried to remedy the lead paint problem by evicting the Gaetti family.
I was living in 1021 Kenilworth. When it rains, a lot of paint chips come off the walls and the ceiling. My son took some paint chips, and I rushed him to the emergency room, Metro Health, and like a week, they sent me a letter that my son, it was lead poison. I was very scared because he was losing weight, he was having behavior problems, and he was skinny. I talked to my landlord, and she told me, feed your kids, don't let the kids eat the paint chips. And she promised me a lot of times that she was gonna fix the apartment, and she never did nothing. And then she told me that I was too much trouble, and she took me to court, and they gave me an eviction notice.
Tamara came to our office. What we did was we defended her in the eviction action and filed a counterclaim on her behalf for retaliatory eviction. And this enabled her to have some degree of power in the situation where she was really helpless. And for a poor person, your only options are legal aid, which is a wonderful organization, but they can't possibly defend every person, and here at Housing Advocates, housing questions are our specialty, and we do have an expertise in that area.